So we'll get ourselves onto the mat. So we've got a few niggles that people have emailed me about to let me know to bear in mind during the class. As I always say, if there's anything that doesn't feel quite right for you and your body, do rest during those bits and join in where you feel that that it will be right for you. So don't push on through anything that feels like it's not suiting your body. And obviously I do want you to challenge yourself with regards to the muscles, but if it's joints and things, then feel free to pull back if there's discomfort. So let's allow those feet to be just hip distance apart. And we'll allow ourselves to really zone in and focus in on how our body's feeling today. And bear in mind, it might feel different to the way it felt before the weekend, and that's absolutely fine. So we'll just take this time to sort of recharge, re-energize the body and give it a nice sense of re-lengthening and strengthening. So if you're comfortable enough to have the eyes closed, by all means do. If you'd rather keep the eyes open, that's all good as well. We're going to allow the breath to gently come and go. So we feel that the breath can come in and out of the rib cage. Allow some of our weight to gently track over the front of our feet. And we'll allow some of our weight to gently track into the back of our feet. And let's take it through those two extremes. That place where our weight's right in the centre of the 2 feet. Lifting up through the arches of the feet. And then taking that softness into the knees. And then with that awareness on your pelvis, let's allow ourselves to gently tip the pelvis forwards and gently tip the pelvis back. We'll take it through those two extremes, tipping gently forwards and gently back. Exploring that range of movement. That place where it feels as though our tailbone is descending towards the space between the heels, and we've got a pelvis that's nice and level and stable and still. The length and really nice and tall. Feel the top of the head extend up towards the space above us. And then let's allow ourselves to take a moment to just check into those pelvic floor muscles. So let's gently draw up through the bottom of the pelvis. And we'll breathe in as we soften back down. So we'll draw inwards and upwards. And then softening back down. Now imagine the pubic bone, the tailbone, and we're going to see if we can draw those two areas together and lift up. And then soften back and down. And just one more. Lift all the way up. Soften back and down, and then take that to a gentle lift. So it's a little lift up through the pelvic floor and find that gentle connection. Lovely. We'll allow ourselves to lengthen nice and tall through the spine. Connection in place with the pelvic floor drawing upwards. Most of us will feel that the belly button starts to draw in at the same time, and that's brilliant. So we should be able to focus in on one or the other as our main focus, and the other one should pull in together. Let's allow the breath to come and go nice and deeply. So we've got the breath flowing in and out of the rib cage. Come and go nice and deeply. The shoulders, so let's let those shoulders lift up and roll gently back and down, and again the shoulders can lift roll back and down. Good, keeping that going for me. Gently rolling through the shoulders. Just one more. Towards one another and sink down towards the tailbone. We'll allow the head to gently release from side to side. Gently tipping the head over and coming back to the centre. Up and over to the second side. Up and over to the right side. The second side. Head into the centre, and we'll allow ourselves to take a nice little rotation through the neck as we look over to the right side. Coming back into the centre and rotating around to the opposite side. And again coming back through the centre. Once again on each side. Into the centre, we'll just allow the chin to tuck towards the chest, and let's allow ourselves to gently roll down through the spine. Coming down through the vertebrae bit by bit. Take a nice deep breath at the bottom. Rolling up through the spine. On top, and we roll the shoulders back and down. Let's allow both the arms to float forwards and up. Breathing in as the arms float back down. Soften through the knees and take a little bend of the knees. Yeah, lovely. And release the arms. And again, rolling down through the spine. So we're coming down through the vertebrae. Head is nice and heavy. Breathing out as we roll up through the spine. Lifting the shoulders when we get there, roll them back and down, let both arms float forwards and up. Breathing in as we float the arms back down, we'll soften through the knees and just let the arms open out to the side. Lovely. Good. Let's take a little side extension from here, up and over to that right side. Yep, that's it, lovely. Coming through the centre, up and over to the other side. If you want to add the top arm in, feel free to. Beautiful. The centre, up and over to the opposite side. And let's roll down through the spine. We'll put those bits together once again. Releasing through the top of the head, rolling gently down through the vertebrae. With the breath. Breathing out as you roll back up through the spine. Letting those shoulders glide down the back. We'll lift the shoulders when we get there. Roll them back and down. Let both arms float forwards and up. Breathing in as we float back down. Soften through the knees. Let the arms open out to the side. And lengthening the legs up and over to the right side. Adding the arm in if you want to. If there's any pinching in the back, just allow yourself to leave the arm out. And just make it a little bit smaller, or you can soften through the knees. Each side. Draw the fingertips in towards one another. Shoulders glide down the back. Let the rib cage rotate gently round to the right side. Breathing in as we return back to the centre. And then rotating round to the opposite side. Each side, pelvis stays really nice and stable here. So it's all about the torso rotating and not twisting into the knees and the hips. Release the arms. We'll bring them just in front of us as if we've got a tray in front of us. Let's glide those shoulders back and down. Nice squeeze in the tummy and then both arms open out. Breathe in as the arms draw back in. And then again we open the arms out to the side. Breathing in as we draw the arms back in. Lovely, keep that going for me. One more then. Let's allow that right arm to come around and above the head. Looking for that nice range of movement through the shoulder and the arm. Changing over to the other side. Find it really satisfying. Don't know whether it's just the circle in action or the fact that it just takes up such a range of movement in the arm. Let's press both the hands away, pushing through the heel of the hand, and let's get those shoulders really gliding down the back, gently circling. We've got 3 and 2 and 1. Let's circle back the other way, and 3 and 2 and 1. Once again, let's have 3 and 2 and 1. Strong through the core and back, and 3 and 2 and release the arms, give them a little shake out. And we'll take the arms behind us, seeing if we can find our elbows. And we'll let those shoulders glide down the back, nice and strong through the tummy. Let's take some little head tips from side to side. I can tell you that my spine is just letting me know that it didn't really enjoy 2 nights on a blow-up bed in the middle of a campsite. So we're just going to enjoy this stretch here for a little bit longer. Bringing the head into the centre, rotating gently round. Back to the centre. Back to the centre, give those arms a little shake out. And give it all a good shake out. So if you've got the eyes closed, now's the time to open the eyes, and we'll allow ourselves to find a fixed spot on the wall in front of us as we look to find some balance work. Let's start by just allowing those heels to gently lift off the floor, and then we'll float them back down again. Lovely. So instinctively I go for the balls of the feet. See if you can find a little bit of connection into the big toe, and that will allow us to engage the right muscles to keep the ankles in line. It's magic. Yeah. Through the tummy, and you might find that the heels can lift a little bit further each time, and that's a marvellous thing. But if it's just a little lift with the heels, that's all good too. Well done, lovely. Last one. Let's allow that right leg to lift. Put back down. And we'll change over to the other side. Changing sides each time. We can allow that right foot to lift away. Beautiful. And we're floating gently down, changing over to the second side. Lovely. We do that asymmetrical arm line. Sometimes we do it with just one arm. I'm just feeling like I want a bit of a challenge. So we're going to explore. The right leg is, in fact, hold it for me here. We're going to look at bringing the hand across us and then opening the arm out. And then float that arm down. Change to the other side. Arm across us, opening out. And then bring the arm down. Let's do it with the leg. So the leg lifts, we bring the arm across us. Yeah, go with the opposite arm. So if it's the right knee lifting, it's the left arm coming across you. And then we'll open the arm out, bring it all down together. It's hard if you look at it because you go the wrong way then. But extra challenge is excellent. Bring that leg across, the arm across the leg, open out. Nice, floating down. Let's do that again. Lift, open out, and floating down. And we lift, bring the leg, bring the arm across you, and opening out. Oh, I've got an extra challenge. That was nice, Margaret, nice. We lift, Bring the leg across it, arm across us, open out from there, take a step and we'll go right across ourselves and come back in. Oh, we love it, don't we? Floating down. Let's do it on the other side. So we lift the leg, opposite arm comes across us, open the arm out, and then big step, bring it across the body. And opening out to bring the arm down. Yeah, it's got to be a challenge, there's got to be a wobble, otherwise it wouldn't be a challenge. So we'll lift, we'll bring the arm down, oh hello, we'll open out and we'll step down. We've got lots of strength going on through the core to really support the back. Beautiful. One more, leg comes across, arm comes across. Why do I keep calling this thing a leg? And big step out. And we lift. Woo! Nice one. Give it a little shake out for me, guys. Well done. I want to bring us to the floor. Today we're going to come straight onto our tummies. So we'll allow ourselves to come down to the ground and we're going to come straight onto our fronts. Thought I'd give you all first-hand experience of my very loud drinking. Okie dokie. So we're going to come all the way down to the ground. We're going to allow the hands to come on top of one another and we'll rest our forehead on our hands. What you need to do to feel really nice and symmetrical once you're there. I'm going to get up a little bit so that I can talk to you, because if I'm talking into the ground you won't be able to hear what I'm saying. So, we've got a nice connection through the belly button while we're here, and this is really good in this position because you've got the feedback from the floor. So let's imagine that underneath our belly button is a precious little egg. It's a tiny little egg. It's like a Cadbury's mini egg. So we'll draw the belly button up and away from the floor, not so much that any of our bones move, but you've still got that sense of the tailbone lengthening away, just drawing up through those muscles. Pelvic floor should engage also. With that connection in place, keep the breath flowing. Let's think about glutes. So we'll take a deep breath. From there, we're going to breathe out. We're going to allow the right buttock to engage and we're going to stretch the right leg away from us. Breathe in as the leg floats back down. Breathe out, squeeze the left buttock, stretch away. Breath in as you float back down. Okay, keep that going for me. Now I never would, but if you find that it's hard to feel that connection in the bottom, imagine that I'm just poking you in the buttock. I wouldn't do that, but imagine. Engagement through the buttock, we stretch away and floating down, stretch away. Now let's see about stretching that leg away. Keep the knee pointing to the floor, just open the leg out to the side so you get a little engagement through the outer side of the buttocks, drawing in and float the leg down. We lift, we open out to the side. And we bring the leg back in. So if your legs were like on the 6 o'clock on the clock, you'd be lifting that right leg and you'd be opening it out to sort of 5, maybe 4. And then we draw back in, float back down. Lock and drawing back in. Now, if you feel ready to, let's lengthen the arms out in front of us. Still the neck is long. Right leg stretches away, left arm lengthens. Open on the diagonal. Draw back in, float the arm and the leg down. If it's too much for you with the arms, keep the arms where they were. Let the neck rest. If you start to feel a pinching in the lower back, either give that belly button a little bit more squeeze or just keep the arms back on the floor. Finishing off there. Draw the arms back to the floor, rest the forehead down. This time we're going to look at our turnout muscles as if you were a ballet dancer. So you've got a 20-pound note between your buttocks. I want you to hold, squeeze the 20-pound note and squeeze it so much that your heels clip together. And then we release. Let's keep that going. Clip the heels and release. Clip the heels and release. Taking 4. Keep the belly button squeezing. 3. Go for length as well. Stretch the legs away from you. And release. Good. Let's just draw the hands underneath the shoulders, sit back onto our heels, lengthen the arms and rest the forehead. If the child's pose isn't going to work for you today, by all means release onto one side and be comfortable in that, that sort of fetal position. Breath to flow into the rib cage there. Let's take a little stretch to the side. So we'll walk the hands over to the right side, reach across with the left hand, push into the left hip. The hands across to the other side, reaching the right arm across us, pushing into the right hip. Hands back into the centre. Allow yourself to come onto your fronts once again. You can either take the same arm positioning with your forehead resting on your arms if you want to, or we'll bring the arms round by our sides. Now once we're there, we need the nose to hover an inch away from the floor so we don't squash our nose. We need to be connected in through the tummy. We're going to take some little pulses with the arms here. So let's keep the backs of the hands facing the floor. And I want you to lift your arms and just take a little reach towards your toes. And then with energy through the fingers, shoulders gliding down, you're going to take a little pulse upwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now turn the hands and bounce downwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch the hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch the hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do one more on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And release. Coming onto your side to face me. Resting the head down there. And lining ourselves up in a nice long line. We've got hips on top of one another and we've got shoulders on top of one another. We're going to squeeze in through the tummy. We're going to allow the legs to stretch and lengthen away from us. Lovely. Breath for me and reach both those legs away. Okay, so we've got options here. This top hand might be resting down on the floor. It might be resting by your side. If you want to, bring the arm up towards the sky. Now, take a little check for me. The arm's lifting up here. Make sure you haven't lost it behind you. We need to make sure that the shoulder is gliding down the back and we can see the fingertips in our peripheral vision. So just glide those shoulders down the back and that'll help you really engage all the way down the back, through to the tailbone, into the pelvic floor. Marvellous. Nice, strong centre of work. Take a deep breath. Top leg's going to move forwards in a slow motion kicking action. And then we breathe in as we allow the leg to return. Now, Check for me as you keep that going, you're not waving at me, so you're not letting the arm tip forwards and back. Arm stays lengthening towards the sky. We tip the foot forwards, we draw the leg back. Lovely. 2 more like that. If you feel you need to put the bottom leg down, by all means do, otherwise keep it lifted. This top hand is going to come back by our side. You're going to keep it reaching and really glide that shoulder down the back. Keep the shoulder gliding down the back, let the arm lift. This time you can add a little side bend if it feels appropriate. So we'll allow the arm to float down. Keep the fingers reaching, see if there's a little triangular window underneath your armpit there. Lovely. So to keep the neck in line, we'll just let the head tip down, so the neck should stay nicely in alignment if we do that. Letting the nose drop down towards the floor, looking down to the ground, and we come back. One more. Your little hip tip backwards like I end up doing. Lovely. Let's keep that arm lifted. Take a deep breath for me. You've got both feet reaching. Now let's just have a little explore of that top hip. So the top buttock's going to squeeze, and you're going to take that leg just a little behind you, just as we did when we were lying, and then we draw the leg back. 3 more like that. Stretch the leg back behind you and draw the leg back in. And again. Woo! Floating down, softening through the knees, and give it a bash if it needs a bash, or a rub, whatever you feel best. Marvellous. Let's squeeze in through the tummy here, and we'll allow the top hip to tip gently forwards. Squeezing in through the tummy, we're going to allow the top knee to gently lift and lower. So we'll lift and lower. And again, we lift, lower. Lovely. Keeping that squeeze in place. Squeezing in through the tummy. There, top toe lifts, we lift and lower, and we lift. Good, just 3 more. Combine the two but in a different way, so we allow the knee to lift, and then from here we switch over to the opposite position. So we lift the toe as high as it'll go to put the knee down, and then we lower the foot. Lift the knee and switch over and float down. Come up and over, toe lift as high as it can. Last one here. Floating that leg down, bring the foot in, and we'll take a nice stretch for the front of the thigh. Shoulders just going to release down the back. And then if you want to, you can just grab hold of a cushion, and we'll do that opening up like a book. Head to rest down onto the cushion. We'll allow the arms to be out in front of us, letting the head rest down. We take a nice deep breath from there and allow the top arm to open, and the eyes are fixed on the hand. You can keep that going so the arm opens all the way out behind you. Use the knees, let the knees stay resting down so they act as an anchor. They might, you know what, the top knee might pour open a little bit, but generally you're using them as a bit of an anchor to the floor. Some of us, our necks won't like it as much if we go much beyond sort of up to the ceiling, and that's fine, that's where we'll go to. And others of us might be able to go a bit further if we just bend the elbow. So we'll get the movement, but the neck and the shoulders stays. With a shorter lever, you've got less weight on it. So see which option works well for you. Finishing off there, just coming onto your back, and we'll go straight for a glute stretch of that one that we've worked lots. So the top leg is going to rest on top of the other knee. So you've got a nice triangular angle in that leg. We'll push that knee away. If you want more challenge, you can weave the hands around the leg that's got the foot on the floor and ease those legs in close to us. Let's have a moment here to not just focus in on that lovely stretch that we're feeling in the glutes, but also thinking about letting those shoulders melt down into the ground, letting the head rest into the floor. Maybe the chin tucks in slightly so that we get even more sense of length down the back of the neck, and that will go all the way down through the back. The arms, the legs to release back down. If you want to keep this cushion underneath your head, by all means do. If you don't need it, then by all means get rid of it. Some of us prefer to keep the cushion there, and some of you in class, I've advised you to keep the cushion in place, particularly if your chin kind of juts upwards when you're lying. So all of that chest opening work is really useful for those of you that find that you need a cushion just here. Let's have a little explore of our pelvis then. So let's imagine we've got we won't imagine, put your feet on the floor, let the knees bend, and then we'll imagine that we've got a clock face on our abdomen. 12 o'clock at the belly button, 6 o'clock at the pubic bone, 3 and 9 to the sides. So we'll rock the pelvis towards 12, and then we'll rock towards 6 o'clock. A few times, rocking towards 12 and rocking towards 6. Through those two extremes. As we rock towards 12 o'clock, let's then take ourselves around to 3. Then round to 6 and around to 9. So we're making that nice big circle. It should feel, I find it really relaxing, this movement. Some of you might find that in one extreme or the other it feels more tight or a little bit uncomfortable. Be mindful of it. You might want to make it a little bit smaller if it's causing any discomfort. Let's take the circle in the opposite direction. Allow ourselves to find that place where it feels as though our clock is nice and level. We've got 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 and 9 all level with each other. When we find that place, let's allow the rib cage to really rest down into the floor, and we'll allow the arms to rest down by their sides. Take a moment to let the head just shift from side to side, just roll from side to side. Head into the centre and tuck the chin in slightly. With a breath there, let's allow the arms to lengthen up towards the sky. Let the shoulders glide down the back. Take a deep breath. We're going to allow the right arm to float up and over the head. Breathing in as the arm floats back to its beginning place. And then same thing with the left arm. Our opportunity to really get a connection with the shoulder blade sinking into the ground.
Now if you feel you want to, at the same time as you lengthen the arm, you can allow the opposite leg to glide away from you. Sliding the leg away, breathing in as the leg and the arm return. Now, I'm going to focus in on getting my shoulders to really glide down the back here. I'm going to focus on keeping the pelvis nice and stable and still. But I'm aware that some of you might be in a more dynamic feeling this morning, in which case, if you want to, you can add a little abdominal curl up into each one. So as you come back to that base position, you can take a little abdominal curl up and then breathe in as you come back down, planting the shoulders into the ground. Oh, just realised you have to concentrate quite hard on which leg and arm you went with before you did the curl up. For some reason, doing something symmetrical sort of sweeps the slate clean. In our little knee openers. So we'll stretch opposite arm to leg away. As we breathe in, we'll draw the knee back in, draw the arm back in. That same knee opens out to the side. I let the arm open out to the side, gives it a nice sense of symmetry. And then if you want to, again, add in that abdominal curl up in there if that's what suits you. And leg you've gone with, and then we stretch the leg away. Drawing in, let that knee open out to the side. And for me, let's talk about how we can make this more dynamic. So if you want to, as you stretch the leg away, you can draw that leg in so the knee is lifted, then allow the knee to open out to the side. The knee won't go quite as far if you've got the leg lifted. And then we can take that curl up as we float the foot back down. So I'm with you once again here. We can allow the leg to stretch away from us. So the knee comes to hover above the hip socket, and then the knee opens out to the side as we allow the arm to open out to the side, making sure those hips aren't going to wobble. Stability through the pelvis is what it's all about. Foot floats down as you take an abdominal curl up. Let's take one more on each side. If anyone feels that they really want to take it up a notch, press the lower back into the floor and allow both knees to lift. So you can do the same thing with both legs lifted. Once you lift both legs, you'll have an imprinted spine. Stuff working evenly on both sides. We'll bring the knees in and we'll give them a good hug. You kind of instinctively have a little rock from side to side there, so you know, feel free to go for that. You might want to take a little roundy with the knees, and you get a nice little massage into the floor. That's quite lovely. And then we can take that circle in the opposite direction. Let's explore a little bit of hamstring length here. So we'll allow the left leg to rest down onto the floor. We're going to hold on around the right thigh, around the back of the right thigh. And in fact, let's start by just releasing that knee as close, or the thigh as close to the chest as you can. And we'll take a few little lifts so the leg can try and push away, and then we draw the leg in. Good. Keeping the thigh close to the chest. That looks beautiful. Well done. Thigh in nice and close as we stretch the calf away. Good. Lovely. And then this time we'll lengthen the leg and we'll let the thigh release away from the chest. And as we do that, we'll see if we can really rest our pelvis down into the ground. Let the shoulders melt down into the floor. If you struggle to get this angle up to the sky, so a 90-degree angle, you might want to wrap something around your foot to give you a little bit of assistance. So maybe a band, a belt, a towel or something like that. If you do find that that 90-degree angle is a real challenge to you, I would suggest that this is a stretch that would be really good to do like every day until it starts to ease a little bit. 90-degree angle there to have a really healthy back. Let's change over to the other side. So softening through that knee, float the foot down, changing over to the other side, bringing that knee in nice and close, thigh in nice and close, nuzzle it in, see if you can be nice and relaxed through the back. Take a deep breath and we'll allow the leg to lengthen away and draw back in. So it won't fully lengthen for most of us, but we can keep the thigh really close to the chest and we won't get a full extension. Thigh stays in really close. See if you can stretch that calf. Let's see if we can keep hold of the thigh, stretch the leg away and then allow the thigh to just pull away from the leg. Breathe nice and deeply. Pelvis releases down into the ground, shoulders release down. Both those knees back into the chest and give them both a good hug. Lovely. So again, we're going to explore our two-legged 100 position from here. So we've got the belly button squeezing in nice and tight, and we've got the knees hugged in nice and tight. We'll see if we can maintain that position as we allow the arms to rest down by our sides. Keep the belly scooping in and allow the legs to just extend away a little. So bless you. Allowing the knees to be just above the hip socket, calf is at a 90-degree angle, shoulders melting down into the ground, and we're breathing nice and deeply. Now, if you feel as though with the back imprinted into the floor here, you've got strain in your lower back, either bring the knees in closer or allow the one foot to rest onto the floor. If you feel as though there's a doming in the tummy, same thing, it's false economy, you're doming the tummy and the transverse muscles aren't doing their work for us. So we're squeezing and we're breathing. We're going to allow that right leg to stretch away from us. We're going to breathe in as the leg returns. We're going to change over to the other leg. The other leg stretches away from us. We breathe in as the leg returns. Lovely. Let's add in that little knee opener that we looked at before. So we'll stretch the leg away, we'll draw the leg in, and then we'll let that same knee open gently out to the side. We're going to do the same on the other side. Opposite leg stretches away, breathe in as the leg returns, and then allow that knee to open out to the side. Now, keep that going for me. If you're working with one leg lifted, do 5 on the first side, change over to the other side. If you're working with 2 legs lifted, let's explore making a diamond shape with the legs so both knees open out at the same time. So you stretch the leg away and then you keep the toes together, let the knees go wide, use the inner thigh to pull them back in. Stretch the left leg away, draw that leg back in, both knees open out to the side, nice and strong through the core, draw the knees back in, stretch the right leg away, draw the leg back in, knees open out to the side. Let's lengthen the arms up towards the sky, shoulders glide down. Now, if you're happy to, as the leg stretches away, both arms can lengthen over the head. Breathe in as we draw the arms back in. If you want to, as the knees open, take a little abdominal curl up, reach for your toes, drawing back to that position. So we stretch both arms away as the leg stretches over the head. Breathing in as we draw your arms back in, curl up as we take that knee opening. Keep that going for me. If you're working with one leg lifted, you can do the same thing with the arms. You stretch away, leg draws in, knee opens, we curl up. So we're really looking at finding that nice sense of shoulder stability. Notice the challenge in the core if the arms go over the head and we've got that nice sense of squeeze in through the tummy. Both sides, bring the knees in towards the chest and give them a good hug. And maybe just gently circle the feet around a little bit. That's dynamic, good. We'll float one foot down towards the floor, we'll float the other foot down, and then let's allow ourselves to take a shoulder bridge, making that nice smooth sequential sequence up and then down again. So imagining that you're lying in soft sand on a warm sandy beach. Take a nice deep breath, and as we breathe out, we'll press the lower back into the floor, we'll tip the tailbone up. We'll start to peel the spine away from the ground, coming up through the vertebrae. There, and then breathing out as we float the vertebrae back down one by one. To neutral. And again, we breathe out. Let's push the lower back into the floor. Let's peel the spine away. So just take 3 more of those, just focusing in on mobilizing through the spine. So working really smoothly through the vertebrae. Really thirsty all of a sudden. Okay. Let's get to the top of our shoulder bridge this time, and we'll allow ourselves to lengthen the arms up towards the sky. Let's check that our shoulders are dropping down into the ground, and then we'll float the vertebrae back down one by one. As we press the lower back into the floor, we return back to neutral. Keep the arms lifted. You're going to take a little arm circle here, so as if you're drawing the circle in the ceiling. Circle, and let the arms float back by our sides. So let's do that again. And so this time I'm going to give you the option that some of you like, is to bring the arms all the way over the head. So you get to that ski slope position and the arms lift all the way over the head. We'll leave them there as we float the vertebrae back down. Notice how much this magnifies any sticky bits through the spine. As you return back to neutral, bring the arms towards the ceiling. Glide those shoulders down the back. Arms circle. So you can take a little abdominal curl up as you bring the arms back by your sides, and then the arms come back, head comes back down. Let's do that again. Press the lower back into the floor. To lift up towards the sky or all the way over the head. Float the vertebrae back down one by one. We press the lower back into the floor, returning back to neutral. Let the arms come back towards the sky. Now, this time we'll take two circles, and that will allow us to slide the right leg away from us for one circle, and then draw the leg back in. And then we can do another circle. If you want, take it in the opposite direction as we stretch the opposite leg away, keeping those shoulders really grounded. Then take the abdominal curl up as you bring the arms back by your sides, floating yourself back down. Good. Now, if you feel ready to, when we get to the top of the shoulder bridge this time, we'll take those little leg lifts. So, we'll allow the right foot to lift. Maybe it's just the heel that lifts. And we float the foot back down, change over to the other side, foot gently lifts. and floats back down. Hold it for me there, add the arms. Lovely. Great, guys. Floating gently down through the vertebrae as we press the lower back into the floor. Arms come towards the sky. Now you've got one circle as the leg slides away. And if you want to, you can work with the two legs lifted if you prefer. Abdominal curl up there. Breathing in as we float back down. Let's do that whole sequence just once more. Now as you take those leg lifts, make sure your challenge is keeping the hips nice and still. Yeah, we do that by engaging the bottom. From here, we'll allow ourselves to switch over so we're ready to do our side leg kicks on the other side. You can either just roll away from me as you are, or flip your head and your legs around the other way. Bottom arm is long. Head rests down on the bottom arm. Yeah, good. Shoulders are on top of one another, as are the hips. We breathe nice and deeply. Let's stretch those legs out and away from us. And as always, just check. You want to be able to see your toes so that they're not sweeping back behind you. Obviously, you don't want to keep looking at them. You're looking forwards, but we've got that sense of length. Let's see if we can get that arm to lengthen up towards the sky. Yep, lovely. So it might be lengthening up, it might be that you're still holding onto the floor, and that's absolutely fine. Nice and deep with the breath. Top foot stretches forwards, kicking action. Now, we want to make sure the hips aren't tipping forwards and back as we do that. These fingertips are in our peripheral vision. Yes, lovely. Three more like that. Notice if you get that little rock forwards and backwards. I want you to see if you can maintain stability there. Me there. Let's bring that arm back by our sides. If we can keep both feet lifted, do. Shoulder glides down the back. And keeping the shoulder down the back, we lift the arm. Take a breath and gliding that arm down. Maybe we find a little side bend action and floating down. Notice if your hips suddenly tip backwards. I can lift up miles if I let my hip tip backwards, but it's not allowed. It's technically cheating. Let's allow ourselves to lift the arm up. And good, lovely. Last one. Not going to let the feet just float back down just yet. We've still got a little bit of work here. So as you come back down, lifting that arm, stretch the legs away even further. Feel as though you're lengthened through both sides of the waist. That top shoulder glides down. Then squeeze in the top buttock and stretch the leg away. And draw the leg back in. So it's a little push behind you with the leg. Squeeze in as you push back. The bottom foot doesn't move. It's staying nice and stable for you. So there's no kind of counteraction with the leg. Squeeze through the bottom. Breathing in as you return. Just two more. Last one. And we get to float down, soften the knees in, give it a little bash. And from there we'll tip both, we'll tip the top knee slightly forwards, we'll tip the hips slightly forwards, we'll squeeze in through the tummy, allow that top knee to gently lift and gently lower. Lovely, we lift. 3 more like that. Those knees together, we'll allow the top foot to lift and lower. Lovely. Pelvis really nice and stable and still. Find the 2. So we'll allow that top knee to lift and then switch the leg over and float down. And again, lift the knee, switch over and float down. 3 more, up and switch, floating down, knee lifts, we switch, and this is our last one. That foot and take a nice long stretch for the front of the thigh. The breath as we exhale, let's let that top shoulder really glide down the back. And as we did before, pop a cushion under your head if you've got one to hand. And we'll allow that top arm to open, finding that nice sense of movement through the spine. Allow the knees to act as an anchor to the floor. Lift off slightly, the hips might kind of rock back a little. Just enjoy that movement. Last one there, and then we'll allow ourselves to roll onto our backs and we'll just stretch out through that glute that's just done all of that work. So as we come onto our backs, we'll allow the leg that's been doing all the work, the one that was on top just now, we'll allow that one to come across the supporting knee. From there we can weave our hands around the supporting leg and bring the leg in nice and close. Take a moment to see if you can flex the foot of the leg that's on top. I mean, you can flex them both, that would be marvellous, but definitely the one on top. And that keeps the knee the ligaments in the knee really happy. And I find it intensifies the stretch as well. And deeply let those shoulders melt down, let the rib cage rest down into the floor. Release in there, just bring the knees in towards the chest and give them a good hug. From side to side, seeing if those knees can come in really nice and close to the chest. The tummy, we'll allow the head to come away from the floor towards the knees. We'll rock gently forwards and back. Now this is going to feel, hopefully, as though we're really opening up through the back, switching into those deep abdominal muscles. We're rocking forwards and back, forwards and back. We might find that we can build up so much momentum that we can ping up to sit in, but some of us will know that that's not good for our backs, in which case come up to a seated position in a way that suits you better. Ooh, and there we are, marvellous. Let's bring ourselves around to a crouch position because I'm aware that I've run out of time. So we'll allow ourselves to tuck the toes under. Come into that crouch position, or as always, take a moment to just allow yourself to rock forwards and back.
Take your time to bring yourself up to standing. I know that there are ways that work better for us all. I'm going to gently roll up through the spine. Lovely, press the heels into the ground, let the head be really heavy. Check there's no tension there as you roll gently up through the spine. Obviously, the joys of being at home are that you can always grab a bit of furniture. And when we get there, we lift the shoulders, we roll the shoulders back and down. We'll take 2 more like that. Last one. Lovely. Take a nice deep breath for me there, reaching really tall. Breathing out and we'll let it all go. Give it a shake out. Give yourselves a round of applause. Well done, guys.